Volume 2. Already did book 1. If you don't know about it, go look into it. If not, it's ain't for you. Or you'll find out if it is. Adult Theocracy. No, this is Occult Theocracy. Volume 2, 1933. Chapter 55. The United Irishmen. Founded 1971. In 1971, the Society of the United Irishmen was founded by Theobald Wolfe Tone and Napper Tandy, both of whom were high in rank in the Masonic lodges. The organization sought to unite Catholics, Protestants, and dissenters in order to throw off the oppressive yoke of England, or to use the graphic language of Tone himself, to subvert the tyranny of our execrable government, to break the connection with England, the never-failing source of all our political evils, and to assert the independence of my country. These were my objects, to unite the whole world of Ireland. The priesthood and the nobles, however, stood solidly behind the English power, but the social conditions imposed by England on its Irish Catholic subjects rendered that country a fertile soil for the sowing of the revolutionary seed. These disabilities are described by Lecky in the following article, which appeared in Macmillan's Magazine, January 1873. To sum up briefly their provisions, they, the English, excluded the Catholics from the Parliament, from the magistracy, from the corporations, from the university, from the bench, and from the bar, from the right of voting at parliamentary elections or at vestries, of acting as constables, as sheriffs, or as jurymen, of serving in the army or navy, of becoming solicitors, or even holding the position of gamekeeper or watchman. They prohibited them from becoming schoolmasters, ushers, or private tutors, or from sending their children abroad to receive the Catholic education they were refused at home. They offered an annuity to every priest who would forsake his creed, pronounced the sentence of exile against the whole hierarchy, and restricted the right of celebrating the Mass to registered priests, whose number, according to the first intention of the legislator, was not to be renewed. The Catholics could not buy land or inherit or receive it as a gift from Protestants, or hold life annuities or leases for more than 31 years, or any lease on such terms that the profits of the land exceeded 1/3 of the rent. A Catholic, except in the linen trade, could have no more than 2 apprentices. He could not have a horse of the value of more than 5 liras, I don't know what pounds. And any Protestant, on giving him £5, might take his horse. He was compelled to pay double to the militia. Wait, let me read that again. He could not have a horse of the value of more than £5, and any Protestant, on giving him £5, might take his horse. He was compelled to pay double to the militia. In case of war with a Catholic power, he was obliged to reimburse the damage done by the enemies of privateers. To convert a Protestant to Catholicism was a capital offense. No Catholic might marry a Protestant. Into his own family circle, the elements of dissension were ingeniously introduced. A Catholic landowner might not bequeath his land as he pleased. It was divided equally among his children unless the eldest son became a Protestant, in which case the parent became simply a life tenant and lost all power either of selling or mortgaging it. If a Catholic's wife abandoned her husband's religion, she was immediately free from his control, and the chancellor could assign her a certain proportion of her husband's property. If this child, however young, professed itself a Protestant, he was taken from his father's care, and the chancellor could assign it a portion of its father's property. No Catholic could be guardian either to his own children or to those of another. The investigations of R.C. Clifford, detailed in his book The Application of Jacobism to the secret societies of Ireland and Great Britain, led this author to the conclusion that the United Irishmen and the Illuminati bore one another a close resemblance, and in his diary, Wolfe Tone himself refers frankly to having on several occasions pressed his friends, the Jacobins, to try to extend their club through the north. The history of the United Irishmen is largely the history of Theobald Wolfe Tone. In a note on page 77 of his autobiography, we are given the following information concerning the origin of the United Irishmen. Before Tone's arrival in Belfast, a political club composed of volunteers and directed by a secret committee was in existence. Among the members of the club were Nielsen, Russell, the Simmises, Sinclair, McTeer, and McCabe, after which Tone remarks, mode of doing business by a secret committee who are not known or suspected of cooperating, but who in fact direct the movements of Belfast. After also drawing attention to the above, Captain Pollard in The Secret Societies of Ireland, page 14, proceeds to make the following observation. The enormous influence of the French Revolution had begun to make itself felt in the councils of the secret associations. Jacobins, missionaries spread the doctrine of the Revolution, and a new spirit of militant republicanism was born. These emissaries from France aimed at bringing England low and spreading the doctrine of world revolution by means of an alliance between the Catholic malcontents of the South and the Republican Presbyterians of the North. Suppressed in 1794, the order had reorganized in 1795 as a secret Republican Revolutionary Society with subordinate societies and committees, and had absorbed that of the Defenders. John Keogh was the leader of the Roman Catholic branch of the movement, among the other supporters of which were Archibald Hamilton Rowan, Robert Emmet, Thomas Addis Emmet, Arthur O'Connor, and Lord Edward Fitzgerald. In 1795, having become seriously implicated in the treasonable activities of the Reverend William Jackson, an emissary of the French government to the Irish revolutionaries, Tone went to America, where he saw the French minister Citizen Edit. With his approval and instructions, Wolfe Tone sailed for France on January 1st, 1796, where he spent the remainder of his days planning the downfall of England. He held that unless they can separate England from Ireland, England is invulnerable. From the beginning of his French intrigues, he feared treason to his cause, and in his diary we find the following entry dated March 21st, 1796, quoting General Clark in a conversation he had just had with him. Even in the last war, when the volunteers were in force, said the general, and a rupture between England and Ireland seemed likely, it was proposed in the French council to offer assistance to Ireland and to overrule by the interest of Comte de Vergennes, the prime minister, who received for that service a considerable bribe from England, and that he, General Clark, was informed of this by a principal agent in paying the money. So it seems we had a narrow escape of obtaining our independence 15 years ago. It is better as it is, for then we were not united amongst ourselves, and I am not clear that the first use we should have made of our liberty would not have been to begun cutting each other's throats. So out of evil comes good. I do not like the story of Vergennes, of the truth of which I do not doubt. How, if the devil should put it into anyone's head there to serve us so this time? Pitt is as cunning as hell, and he has money enough, and we have nothing but assignats. I do not like it at all. 6 months after his arrival in Paris, Tone received a commission in the French army, and with the assistance of the Directory, General Hoke, and others organized the ill-fated Bantry Bay expedition of 1796. Every effort to thwart their plans was made by the French naval till, as Tone tells us in an entry dated November 14th to 18. Valery de Joyeuse, the admiral, is cashiered, and we have got another in his place. Joyeuse was giving underhand all possible impediment to our expedition. His successor, Rear Admiral Brew, however, seems to have shattered the indifference of his predecessor in Irish matters, and the fact that it was always in the Navy's power to make us miscarry. is mentioned by Tone in his diary. On December 15th, the expedition finally started, and on the 17th, in a fog, the Fraternite, with two of the admirals and General Hoke aboard, got separated from the rest of the fleet, leaving Tone and General Grouchy with only about half of the original expeditionary force at their disposal. Tone's efforts to effect the landing at Bantry Bay were frustrated by Grouchy's dilatory tactics. On December 26th, we find the following entry in Tone's diary. And on dilatory tactics, and on December 26th, we find the following entry in Tone's diary. Last night, at half after 6 o'clock, in a heavy gale of wind still from the east, we were surprised by the Admiral's frigate running under our quarter and hailing the Indomitable Tone ship. No, it's called, the ship is Indomitable Tone ship, with orders to cut our cable and put to sea instantly. The frigate then pursued her course, leaving us all in the utmost astonishment. Did Wolfe Tone think of Vergennes then? History fails to tell us. The activities of the United Irishmen ended with the uprising of 1798 and another attempt by French to land troops on Irish soil. This rebellion was, however, also crushed, and Wolfe Tone, who was taken prisoner in order to be hanged, cut his throat in his cell. Chapter 56, the Orange Society, Protestant and Masonic, will be discussed next time.